Hey, everybody. This is Sherry. I'm back with Butternut Hollow. I've been missing in action for a couple weeks, so thought I would get back in my routine of doing Monday lives. Let me bring you guys up on my Facebook page here so I can see all the comments because I don't always see them.
Text message.
Let's shut the notifications off. Forgot to do that. I'm all out of practice, guys. Got to get back in the groove here. Okay, so we are up and running now. And I'm going to share another fun project here. Hey, Sheila, I'm glad you missed me. I missed you guys too. I really did. Now I got to get back in the groove of things. So we're going to make a fun project. I'm going to turn the camera down or switch it down, however you want to say it. And of course, I'm working with wood, guys. Wood's my jam, so I'm going to stick with what I know. So we're going to make a cute little sign and using the decoupage paper. But the first thing we're going to do is decoupage these little squares, and it will all come together. Hey, Barbara. It's autumn in Colorado. Yeah, it's autumn here in Iowa, too. So these little cutouts are from MDF that I did on my laser. And I am going to try to decoupage them as somewhat of a group. I've seen people do this. And let's see how it works. And by doing this, they tape them together on the back like this. I probably should have used a new piece of tape, but we'll see if I can make it work. But before I go any further, I better make sure that my paper is going to fit on here. So let's regroup here already. I'm telling you guys, I am all out of practice. I did miss you guys, though. I miss the lives, miss visiting with people. Hey, Rita. Yep. Well, I won't be home in the morning, Rita. Tomorrow morning, I have some errands I got to run, but I'll be home after that if that works for you. This will work. So let's tape these together. And by taping these, they're going to hold them together, and then you can flip them over like this, and I can decoupage all these little squares at once. Because hanging on to these are not fun. And these squares are MDF, so you will see where I have to apply quite a bit of medium because they're pretty porous, or however you want to say it. So let me get my medium out. Well, hey, Carmen, how's my beautiful friend doing? So we're going to put some medium in this cup, and we're going to do these all together. Kind of, sort of. So I'm just going to put my medium, and I am putting the medium on pretty thick because this MDF does absorb it. You guys, I was so out of practice of coming up with ideas. I literally come up with this idea yesterday afternoon. So let's see. Let's see if you like it. Let me mist my paper and stick it down on the... And I did not paint my squares white, as you can see, because I want them to look aged like this. I did not want... I want it to be dark under the paper, as you can see. Oh, hey, Joni, my lovely sister. Wait till you see what I came up with, Joni. Came to me yesterday afternoon. I was telling my people that I'm out of practice of going live. I have to get back into the groove. My fingers are sticking. So these little squares are going to hold some letters that I cast from a mold. So hopefully this all works, you guys. Let's see, by taping those I didn't miss my paper. By taping those papers or these squares together, I can decoupage all these little squares at once. And that is what I like about this. I got to get this piece of tape off of here, though, because otherwise my paper's going to stick to it. Okay, so let's run some medium over the top of this, and we're going to let this stuff dry while we move on and get the other pieces all ready. There's several elements to this project, but I think it will be very cute when we get it done. Let's set this back here out of the way. Just going to slide these out of the way. I'm so glad you're good, Carmen. Hey, Melissa, how you doing, sweetie? Rita, I missed the paper because I have found that you are less likely to get wrinkles. Royce taught me that trick. It's my go-to every time. If you missed your paper before you apply it into your medium, it actually won't wrinkle, because when you apply your dry paper onto a wet medium, that's when you get your wrinkles, and misting it stops that. It is a great trick, and it's my go-to every time now. So as you can see, these are little snowman noses. So you probably already guessed that I'm going to be making some snowmen. I should have opened this up before my live, and I didn't. Let's see if I can get it open. That's probably not the scientific way to open jars, but that's how I do it, you guys. So let's get these painted orange. And this is an orange I mixed colors with. I mixed 2 different colors. I can't even remember how I mixed it. I mixed up a big jar because I love the color that I came up with. I don't like the brown oranges. I like them more muted. And so, yeah. So we're just going to set this off to the side too, because we'll have to put a second coat on them. And then this here is just a 15-inch 2x4 that I stained. I stained all my pieces with a water-based brown stain. You can use whatever you want. Hey, Angela. And so we're going to make this look like old wood. And then these little blocks here are just made from a 2x4 or a 2x2, excuse me. And these are going to be snowman heads. So I know it probably sounds bizarre, but just wait. It will all come together, I promise. And so I'm going to use my farmhouse paint. And this is a classic white. So I'm going to use this first for the base coat on this board. This board is rough. But I wanted it rough. I want the wood to shine through. I'm going to wet this paint a little bit because I don't want it thick at all. I want to see some of the grain, some of that brown through it. And that will be all I do to that. Well, I'll add other colors, but that's all the white I want on there. Let's get these snowmen heads painted. And I know going over the brown, I'll probably have to do a couple coats of the white, but that's okay. I don't paint my edges of the back of my stuff, as you can see. So that's why I stain everything, because I think it still gives it a nice finished look. And these little blocks, they stand on their own like that. I didn't do the top because these little snowmen are going to have hats. So, yes, Rita, just try it. And you just lightly mist it with a fine mist sprayer. your paper, and it's amazing how you don't get wrinkles. You get very few wrinkles, if any at all. And that's just my go-to way of decoupage now. Let me give these noses, I don't know if you can see me, but all I'm doing is putting a second coat of orange paint on these noses real quick. I'm probably out of camera, but I'm running out of room here. Gotta get some of this stuff out of our way. Well, hey, Sherry, how you doing? I'm making a fun project, I hope. We'll get the tape out of there. And now I want to dry this white board so I can layer some paint on here and pick up, make it look like, I want it to look like a piece of old barn board is what I'm going to do to it. But you got to dry your layers in between. Well, hey, Rochelle. It was so nice visiting with you the last weekend. I appreciate you so much coming out to my barn show. Not last weekend, was it the weekend before? You know when it was. Anyway. I want this layer good and dry because otherwise it's just going to muddy my colors. I don't care if it blends a little bit, but I don't want it. I'm not really blending. Okay. So now I'm going to take, I'm going to put a second coat on these snowman heads real quick because I want to use this brush to layer my colors, and I can't use it. I know you would have been at my barn show, sweetie. That would have been fun too. So we're just slapping some white paint on there. Nothing rocket sciencey. Now I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to clean this brush off with the white because I can use it now for my colors. And I'm going to take some gray Lamage, just squirt a little on my plate. Hang on here. You can see I'm out of camera. I don't have a big enough table. Hey, Maya Benhart, how are you? So that's some gray Lamage of my farmhouse paint. And then I want just a little black. I'm just going to spray a little water on them. And this is basically going to be like a dry brushing. So I'm going to do the gray Lamage first. And I'm literally cleaning off my brush so there's hardly any paint on there. And just the rough surfaces of this board is picking up what I'm laying down. So it is not full coverage. It's just strictly a dry brush. And I want one more color. I think I'm going to use a little steel graphic. Right, Maya? I need a bigger table. Why don't you get on that and help me, sweetie? So this is some steel graphic. It's just a darker gray. Because again, I want this to look like old barn board. And just by dry brushing this like this, and see how the rough part of the board is picking up my paint. And I always start out light because you can always add more. Well, hello, Jill. Thanks for joining me. I know this probably looks like I'm just painting a 2x4, which actually that's all I am doing right now, but just wait till this project comes together. I'm thinking you guys will love it. I know it looks good in my head because I literally just thought of this idea yesterday. I was still putting away stuff for my barn show, and I was in my shop and dawned on me that I had a live and I had to get going. And so, yeah. Now we're going to pick up the black and just lay the black down. Like I said, I always start out light and then go heavy or layer it. I can always add more. It's a lot easier to add more than it is to take off. So, but see how it's picking up all the grain in this this 2x4? That's why I left it rough, because I wanted it to do that. Carmen, the barn show was fine. It was a very, very cold weekend. My two wonderful sisters came and froze their butts off with me for 3 days. You know, you guys, if I have found, if you surround yourself with people that love you and support you, you can weather anything. That's what the barn show taught me. But you see how that picks up all that grain in this 2x4? I love this. Look. Love it, love it, love it. So I think we're going to set this aside and call this good. So this can, just going to set it back there and let it dry. I'm going to move some of this paint out of my way, guys. Because as Maya has pointed out, my table is not big enough for me. Set that off to the side. We're done with that brush. Let's bring the snowman heads back in here. We're going to dry these real quick so that I can sand my edges. I want to clean these edges up a little bit. Yes, Carmen. Hey, Royce, how you doing? Okay, so we're going to move these little squares while they're off to the side here. I'm just going to try and give them a dry. There's a lot of medium on there because I use, like I said, I use the MDF cutouts that I had from my laser. When I cut out stuff on my laser, guys, I save all these goofy little shapes if I think they look cool. And these little cutouts were one of them for some frames I had to make for somebody, and they have come in quite handy. So now I'm just going to take, this is a 120 sandpaper, and we're just going to clean these edges up like this real quick. It doesn't have to be perfect. I don't have to do this because the hat's going to come over it, so I'm just going to do 3 sides. It just kind of, I think it kind of outlines the snowman's face, if you will. So. This craft is kind of, it's really the style I love. which is going to look grunge and old and beat up and kind of like me. How I feel some days. So there's that. I do want to get this dust off my table though. And again, I didn't do that on purpose. I didn't do the tops of these on purpose. So that helps me know the direction that these need to go in. And now we're going to take, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's do these noses real quick. We got to sand these edges of the noses too. Again, we got to make sure they're dry. And these little noses I just cut out of a piece of lath and stained it. Like I said, I always stain all my pieces. Excuse me. I think it makes the color look better underneath, and it makes them look finished on the back and the edges. So then I didn't have to like paint the edge of his noses and all that. But I gotta expose a little wood on the edges of these noses. Doesn't have to be a whole lot. When I was cutting out these noses yesterday and sanding them on my belt sander, I got the pad of my finger. And that hurts, let me tell you. Took the hide right off of it. But see how I'm outlining the nose like that? I think that accentuates it. Yes, Sheila, it was an ouch. If I was honest, I probably did utter a few choice words. I don't do that very often. I run bandsaws and table saws and circular saws, and honestly, that's probably only the second time I've sanded my finger, and only once did I run my thumb through the bandsaw. Just a little bit. Didn't cut it off or nothing, but I've been very lucky that I haven't taken off fingers or thumbs. But I also respect my tools. I am very careful, very focused when I'm using them, so that probably helps. Okay, so let's grunge up, and I'm using some archival ink in the ground espresso, and I'm just using a little dauber here. yeah, I'm talking your language, aren't I, Angela, right? And I want to grunge up these noses and just tone down where I got the bare wood. So I'm just rubbing this dauber over the edges, and so you can see this is the one that's grunge and this is the one I just sanded. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but this one looks much more grungy, aged, whatever, and that's exactly what I want. So we're just gonna do these all the noses like this. Get them all grungy up, aged, whatever. See, that's the look I love. I love it when it looks all grungy. I'm going to do the same thing to these snowman heads, except for they're going to be grunged up a little more. I want to run over the edges, and then I also want to grunge up their faces. Not so that they're, but I want them to look dirty. I want them to look dirty instead of stark white. Dirty might not be the proper word, but you know what I mean. And I don't have to worry about up here because he's going to have a hat on and it's going to cover it. So we're just going to go, we're just going along the edges and rubbing the dauber on the front of it a little bit to, I guess it is, to dirty them up a little bit so they looks a little grungy. Okay, so we got them all grunged up. And then we got to put our faces on our snowmen. But let me give this ink here a quick dry. I want to make sure it's good and dry. Okay. And then I'm going to take, I just need a nose for placement. That's it. And we are going to, and I've told you before, I just use makeup, use powder, whatever. And I just put it on my fingers. And that's how I give my snowman little rosy cheeks. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but little rosy cheeks. I can't paint little cheeks, so I've been doing it this way for years. And it never gets too overpowering. And if it does, you can always take a wet wipe and wipe it off, but just kind of grind that right into the wood. We can put this away. Get a wet wipe to clean the powder off my fingers. Okay, now we're going to do the eyes on these snowmen, because then we're going to let them sit and dry while we go back to working on, we're going to do our little squares and finish our 2x4. And that's where I need the nose for placement. And I'm just going to use a little nail. I use nails for my eyes, as you've seen me do it before. And that way I know exactly where to place my eyes. And see, now we have eyes. So let's get eyes on all of these guys here. And this craft here, guys, really is so simple to do. Okay, we're going to set them aside and let them dry. And let's introduce our board back in here. And now I want to add a little zhoosh or whatever onto this board. So I'm going to take some Rio, just add a little color. And this is a stencil from Royce's first line of stencils to come out. It was the add-ons for the globe. And I want to use these snowflakes on here. I do not have enough room here. I seriously don't. I'm going to make a mess. I want to move these snowman heads out of the way because if I hit their eyes, I'll smear them. And I'll probably do that. So I'm just going to take, I want this little stencil right there. So I'm just going to take this little stencil. I'm just going to lay it on this board wherever I want. They're just going to be random. And this is a little bitty blender, makeup blender brush, but it makes a great stencil brush. So we're just going to hold that in place. I'm just going to pounce this and lift it up. And then, can you see? Just a hint. I just want real subtle snowflakes. I don't want anything bold and bright or overpower my board here. And we're just going to randomly place this little snowflake all over this board. Yes, I love this stencil. I mean, it works great in the under the clothes. It works great in the snow globe. It's very, very versatile. And then it works great to add. You have all these little snowflakes to add these little elements on other projects. And we'll do one more. How about like right there? There. And see, you can just subtly see those little snowflakes on that board. Just let me wipe my stencil off quick. I don't normally take good care of my stencils, so yeah. I'll give my brush here just a wiping real quick. And now let's work on these little squares. I'm going to make sure these are good and dry. And then we're going to cut these apart. And we'll put this all together. I better get my glue gun over here plugged in. I forgot to do that. Okay. I'm going to take the tape off the back like this. And then we're going to cut these apart. I can see I have some wet spots. I can see it on the back here, but that's okay. And I'm just cutting these apart because it'll make it easier for me to handle them, to clean them up. But it is much easier for me to decoupage these together like that than to try and do these little individual squares. So it does work better for that. We'll do the same thing on this one. Peel that paper off. get them cut apart. Okay. Now these ones are still a little wet. These ones seem to be drier. I'm just going to take an emery board then, and we are just going to clean them up like we do any other decoupage project. There's just more of them. So is anybody decorating for Christmas yet, or are you waiting for, do you have certain dates that you decorate? I have not decorated for Christmas. Heck, I haven't even done a whole lot for fall. I'm way behind on everything. But see how cute these little squares turned out? They're going to be adorable. It's Carmen, December 23rd, right? I think that's my date too. I like your idea. I should have saved a tree from the barn and just stored it until December 23rd and carried it in the house. We had the barn. We had one section that was fall, and we had two sections that was Christmas winter. And I gotta tell you, the barn looked amazing with the Christmas trees and the lights and everything lit up. It really did. Yeah, Angela, your store always gets it first, doesn't it? When you have a store, usually gets decorated before you're home. I get it. But these clean up fairly easy. Almost done here. Oh, thank you, Pam. You saw. Yeah, I did a commercial, Pam, for my barn, but then they're running commercials now. They had me do a commercial for them, which people are finding out now. For the advertising agency that I use, they came and asked me to do a commercial for them, so I actually shot a commercial for them. That was way out of my element, but it was fun. Thank you, Rita. So now we got these all ready to go. I got to stand up for this because these go on this board, guys, like this. Let me get them on there. Put it back over. And we've got to kind of line them up how I want them because they're going to say, oh, we got to paint the letters yet. We forgot to paint the letters. Or I did. You didn't. But that's okay. Kind of move this over. I can still get these centered on there. A little too far. This was probably about the hardest part, is centering the Getting everything centered on this board. That don't look too bad. Okay. Now I got to paint the letters. I forgot to paint the letters. It's going to say let it snow. And I cast these letters using the Harper mold from IOD. So I'm just sticking them down on my tape. You guys that follow me know that this is how I paint small things, because it does keep them in place and I don't have to worry about them moving. And I'm going to take the white ash again in a small brush. We're just going to get a coat of paint on these because I don't want them to be that white. I want them to be a little warmer. Oops. Get you stuck down there again. It doesn't want to stick. That's fine. Come down here and stick. Just trying to make sure I get all the letters, the tops, and all that painted in this warmer color. And this paint dries really fast, so I can pretty much go by and do another coat, and we can work on some of the snowmen while we're waiting for these to dry. Carmen, this works great for small things and instead of trying to pinch them in your hands. And I like that I can just pick them up then and move them right out of my way. I don't got to wait for them to dry. Except for when the letters fall off. Okay. Let's work on our snowman heads while we're letting them dry, guys. Now, this is a trick that I've used for many years. Some of you have probably seen it. I love using it this way. So these are the snowman heads. I'm going to bring them back in here and hit the eyes just a little bit. So I do not want to smear them. These are just basic little blocks. Like I said, they're 2x2s. You could take a 2x4 and run it through your table saw and rip it in half. Or you can buy 2x2s. I think these are from a 2x4 because they're a true 2x2. And I take sock cuffs. You know how you get a sock that has a heel and so then you has a hole in the heel? So then you can't use it? I save them. I hoard them. And then I just put a cuff on the sock like this. And I put it down over my block like that. And then I'm going to take 2 pieces of twine. And I love using socks because socks usually look faded, worn, well used. So they're already kind of aged for you. And then we're going to trim these up like this. Let me get my glue gun over here. And I've got to figure out how I want these laid out, though, because of the noses. So that's going to be the center. This will be the end. Gray, black. And then their noses are going to go like this. Can you see what I'm doing now? Like Roy says, are you picking up what I'm laying down? Yes, the Nomad socks, Melissa. Great for snowman hats, I swear. They are my go-to from the snowman hats. I love the way they look. And then I just put a little glue on the front of the hat and on the back of the hat just to tack it in place. I want to trim this top up just a little bit. And then I have some little bitty rusty bells I thought would look very cute on here. So then I'm going to take a rusty bell, and I think I'm going to put it right there. Now, how cute is that? How cute is that, you guys? And look they freestand. So he stands by himself. They will stand up all by themselves. I just think they're adorable. And again, cuff your sock. Make it look like a little beanie. Thank you, Carmen. Put your jute around the top and knot it. And get everything trimmed up. That was a little crooked. Okay. Oh, thank you, Dorothy. You're making snowmen from little scraps of wood. I think the little snowmen are so cute. Take a little bell. There's another one. They're so simple. It does not get any simpler than this. These are all adult socks, Mary, believe it or not. They're either mine or my husband's. Because these little pieces of wood are a 2x2, so they're 2x2 square, so that makes them a little thicker. I don't know that a child's sock. Well, they might. I guess it depends on how well they stretch. The only thing I hate about glue guns is those little webs they leave behind. Now, if you had little snowflakes, you could glue them on there. I just really like Rusty Bells. There's another one, which is why I'm using the bells. The thing I really liked about this project is, because I will show you different ways you can use these snowmen on here. So it worked out. Well, thank you, Rita. Thanks, Lola. I didn't even see you pop on. Thanks, Jess. So, but there's a couple different ways that you can use these snowmans with this project, and I think it will be super cute. Now, if you had somebody that crocheted hats, which my sister does, and she would if I asked her to, but she's got enough on her plate. You could have the hats crocheted, but I just love using these socks because, like I said, they already look aged, they already look worn. They are just and it's so easy. Oops, hang on here. I forgot a bell on him. And I forgot to tack this hat down. And here comes the last one. And then we can put our board together and see this all come together. The barn sale show was fine, Dorothy. It was just very, very cold. We've decided that we're going to move it up a month next year. Because the barn is not heated, and like I said, my sisters froze their tails off right alongside me. So I'm fortunate that I have sisters that love me, because I just don't know too many people that would have done that. Because like on Sunday, I think the high here was like 34, you guys. It was cold. But they stood out in that barn with me for 8 hours, freezing. Okay, so there's that. Our snowmen are done. Get the webs off of there. See, there's the last one. So now let's get our board put together, and then you will see it all come together. I clean my mess up here. Where's my garbage can? Okay. Now I'm going to stand up because I got to make sure this is straight. Everything is straight over here. So you take these letters and you're going to glue them on these little cutouts. Clean the paint off the back of it so it doesn't leave a mark. And it's going to say, let it snow. You're in the mid-30s too? Oh my God, that is crazy. Yeah, last weekend was like the weekend of the barn show was freezing. Not last weekend, the weekend before, but yet ever since then, 50s, 60s. I was like, it couldn't be that one during my barn show, huh? So yeah, it's been nuts here too. It really has. And again, these are letters that I resin cast from the Harper mold from IOD. So now we just got to glue all these down like this, and then we'll put it all together. I just got to make sure these are exactly where I want them. For some reason, I feel like this needs to go up. Okay. That doesn't look too bad. I got to get a paper plate here, because we're going to put some glue on it. And I use Titebond Quick and Thick. I'm going to take the letter off first. And yes, I use my fingers. Drop that in place. Oh. If you just give this glue a minute, it will set up and grab. But you just got to be somewhat patient, which I'm not. I'll admit it. Oh, I got some paint. This glue will dry clear. I just still don't like it to ooze out, though. Okay. We're getting there, guys. Wait a minute. I'm putting it in the wrong spot. I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. There we go. Okay. Dorothy, you want to be identified. I know. Whenever I do this, you remember when we were kids and we would like put glue on our fingers, and then I used to spread Elmer glue over the palm of my hand and just to peel it off. Yeah, whenever I glue stuff down, that's what it feels like for about the next hours. That I'm peeling off the glue. Reminds me of my childhood. This has got to be a little straighter here for me, though. I do not normally like working with stuff this small. We're going to go a few minutes over, guys. I hope that's okay. I really want to finish this. I want you guys to see it finished. There's nobody coming on after me. I don't think Royce will care. So, did I not? I forgot to glue that one, didn't I? Well, I guess that's a good thing because it was in the wrong spot. Okay. And the nice thing, the way these letters, this is kind of wonky, it doesn't have to be exact. If you're a little crooked, just act like you meant it to be that way, right? We need a little more glue. We're getting there. I'm almost finished. Sorry this one was a little longer project, guys. But I do appreciate you ones that are sticking with me. Because I really do think you'll like the finished when you see it all come together. Stay there. Okay. 2 more letters. Okay. Oh, Jolene, you're fine. You'll get to see the finished project if you bear with me here for just a little bit longer. Then you can decide if you want to watch the replay. Those guys, you guys of you on here that do this daylight savings time, I got to tell you, I really wouldn't care which one they pick, but I wish they would pick one. Don't care what. Because it is really screwing me up. Okay. Let's clean the W up just a little bit there. Okay. Like that. Okay. So now I'm going to let this just sit here and dry just a little bit, but while we're waiting for it to dry, I do want to spackle this. And I got some white paint left over. Oh, thank you, Rita, for staying with me to the end. I'm just going to take some white paint and I'm just going to splatter. Because I love splatter. This will also give the Type Bond Quick and Thick a chance to set a little bit. Okay. Let me clean my fingers off here. Let's see what happens. I think. See, I don't know how to, well, you know what? I'm going to turn the camera back up this way so you guys can see. Okay. So you see that I have this Let It Snowboard, right? But the cool thing about it is, and I will show you here, let me put it together and then I'll hold it up because I just don't know if there's any other way I can show you guys. But the snowman, as you can see, will stand alone. I showed you that. And I will take a couple different pictures. But it will also sit like this. Let me pick this up. Hopefully they'll stay on there because they sit on there very nicely. Hang on. Here. And they sit on the top there. But they will also, you can also take them off and well, thank you, Royce. But you can also, if I can hold this right, because I don't have the right camera. But so you can also take these off and you could display them like in the front, off to the side, however you want. Like you could just have 3 on there and then have 1 on each off to the side, like that. Wouldn't that be adorable? I thought it turned out kind of cute. So, thank you, Jesse. Thanks, Carmen, as I'm dumping it all over the table now. But that was what I came up with. And again, you know, my letters, as you can see, have the corrugated metal because the corrugated metal is like my favorite paper. And Royce, if you ever decide to discontinue that, you got to let me know so I can buy huge orders of it because I will be lost without it. And then we used her stencil off of her add-on stencil. So yes. Thank you, Rita. Thanks, Joni. So thanks, Vicki. So anyway, that's my live for tonight, you guys. Thank you for joining me. I will get some good pictures and I'll post them on Royce's page. And I'll probably do that yet tonight. So that thanks, Royce, for allowing me to share on your page. But I'll get some pictures on there tonight yet. And so then you guys can see it better finished because I did think it turned out pretty cute. Much love to you all. Have a great evening. Bye.